I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. I want to show you right now the types of posts on a social media platform that Donald Trump was making this weekend so you can see just how vile he is, just how desperate and weak he looks, as well as he threatens special counsel Jack Smith, as he attacks the DOJ and threatens and attacked Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. It's all just whining about himself, and they're all out to get me, and deranged this and deranged that person, and just goes after everybody, not actually talking about what he can do for the American people. No, far from it. But I don't just want to show you Donald Trump's post. I think it is critical, and this was your suggestion, and I so agree with you. Show what President Joe Biden is posting as well, and show the contrast, and let the people decide. Here's what President Joe Biden's priorities are. Here's what he's talking about. Here are the priorities of Donald Trump. So let's do that. Here's what Donald Trump posted: a letter that he received from Richard Nixon. This is what Donald Trump is promoting. This is a letter that Trump received from Richard Nixon on December 21st, 1987. And this is what Trump posted because the MAGA Republicans look up to Richard Nixon. That is someone whose legacy that they want to revive, and they want to promote Richard Nixon's conduct. And so here's what Donald Trump posts. It says, "Dear Donald, I did not see the program, but Mrs. Nixon told me that you were great on the Donahue show. As you can imagine, she is an expert on politics, and she predicts that whenever you decide to run for office, you will be a winner. With warm regards." And that was signed by Richard Nixon in 1987. That's what Donald Trump is posting this weekend. Here's what President Biden is posting. The CHIPS and Science Act invests $52 billion to supercharge our efforts to make semiconductors here in America. Our actions have attracted hundreds of billions of dollars in private sector investments across the country. It's a game changer. Here's what Donald Trump posted. Why didn't the corrupt Marxist prosecutors bring these radical and unjustified charges against me 2.5 years ago, long before my presidential campaign had begun? Now deranged Jack Smith will probably bring another case, along with the racist DA in crime-ridden Atlanta, who has been waiting for the perfect time during my campaign to file. This is election interference and prosecutorial misconduct. They are all in a coordinated attack trying to steal another election, but we won't let them! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, all in caps. I say that if you had a family member or friend or coworker or someone you knew make a post like this, you would probably want to seek a 5150 involuntary hold. I mean, again, everything that Donald Trump says here is just utterly false and just flat out bizarre. Saying corrupt Marxist prosecutors. He's saying what? That special counsel Jack Smith is somehow a Marxist? That Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is a Marxist? You know, Trump uses these labels, Marxist, fascist, communist, to fit anybody who he doesn't agree with. He doesn't even probably know what these terms mean, but he just uses them to try to dehumanize people. And then when Donald Trump talks about the timing of it, look, I think lots of Americans would have preferred that you be prosecuted 2.5 years ago, but there's been diligent investigations taking place. Put it this way, the criminal conduct that you engaged in Mar-a-Lago, for example, and the deletion of surveillance footage that's in the superseding indictment, that happened in June and July of 2022. So that even happened, slightly more than a year ago. But let's take a look at what President Biden is posting. So Donald Trump is posting all caps, attacking the DOJ special counsel Jack Smith and Fani Willis. President Biden: microchips are infrastructure. They power our daily lives. And through the CHIPS and Science Act, my administration is ensuring they're made in America again. Here's just some other posts that President Biden's making. Then we'll go to Trump's. Biden goes, for years, there was no check on how high or fast Big Pharma could raise drug prices. But now, thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, If they raise prices faster than inflation, they'll have to rebate the money to Medicare. And then President Biden also writes, folks, the mental health crisis is something we need to face together as a country. We know that even when it feels as dark as it can get, we aren't alone. That's what I want for everyone in America, to know you are not alone. Help is available, and it gives the address of where you can seek help. Let's see what Donald Trump is writing. He puts this all in caps. Mar-a-Lago security tapes were not deleted. They were voluntarily handed over to the thugs headed up by deranged Jack Smith. We did not even go to court to stop them from getting these tapes. I never told anybody to delete them. Prosecutorial fiction and misconduct, election interference. Well, where is this information coming from? Well, it's coming from your own employees at Mar-a-Lago, specifically the head of IT, Yusel Taveras. After he fired the lawyer who you appointed for him, Yusel Taveras told special counsel Jack Smith the truth. And he talked about the wide-ranging conspiracy between yourself, co-defendant Waltine Nauta, and co-defendant Carlos de Oliveira, and how you all asked him to delete the surveillance footage, and he said that he couldn't do it. He's cooperating with special counsel Jack Smith. It's not like some made-up allegation that Jack Smith made. The same way you lied when you said that when you were showing what turns out to be a war plan regarding Iran to basically random individuals who were ghostwriting a book for Mark Meadows, you gave that interview with Bret Baier where you said, I was just showing him magazines and papers. No, actually, special counsel Jack Smith has the document, and we know it's a war plan. We know that it's a top secret classified document that you were showing people who didn't have security clearances. By the way, special counsel Jack Smith talked to everybody else in that room. He knows the information. He lives in a system of evidence. I know you don't live in an evidence-based system, but when we talk about law and order means evidence. Here's Donald Trump's next post. Same as the Russia hoax, they knowingly accuse you of a fake crime, a crime that they actually make up. You fight these false charges hard, and they try and get you on, quote, obstruction. We are dealing with sick and evil people. By the way, you keep saying Russia. You say Russia hoax. Well, Paul Manafort, your campaign manager, guilty. Mike Flynn, the head of the NSA who you appointed, guilty. Lots of people in your inner circle either pled guilty or were convicted in jury trials. And the only reason that Mueller didn't prosecute you, which, by the way, he should have, is he believed that there were some norms that you can't prosecute a sitting president, which I think is completely and utterly ridiculous. But there's videotapes of you saying, Russia, if you are listening, I think you will be rewarded if you go hack the Democrats. Find the emails, Russia. There's tape of you saying that. Like, you invited the top Russian ambassadors into the Oval Office in an unsecured way. We saw what happened in Helsinki. We know what you do. But for you, it's all a hoax, Marxist, fascist, whatever. You just say words and hope that the cult just follows you, which they often do. But people in America who care about law and order are not buying what you're selling. We know it's a lie. And by the way, they tried to get you on obstruction. You're also charged with willful retention of national defense information. You're charged with the underlying conduct, making false statements, willful retention of national defense information, which is a violation of the Espionage Act. That's what Donald Trump is posting. Okay, let's go back. What's President Biden posting? The economy's continued growth builds on what was already the strongest pandemic recovery and lowest inflation of any G7 country. It wasn't accidental. It's our middle out and bottom up economic agenda. Here's another post by President Biden. The Inflation Reduction Act invests $369 billion to take the most aggressive action ever in confronting the climate crisis and strengthening our energy security. It's allowing us to fight environmental injustice and deliver a clean energy economy. Biden's post talking about very specific things that he can do for the American people. What is Donald Trump talking about? The crooked election interference thugs from the DOJ, headed by the worst thug of them all, deranged Jack Smith, are now admitting that the Mar-a-Lago security tapes were not deleted. That's not what they were illegally leaking to the press. These guys should be prosecuted for misconduct. Also, whatever happened to Crooked Joe's documents? Where are the ones he sent and stored in Chinatown? Is deranged Jack going to indict him for this and at the same time receiving bribes from China? From the outset, it should be noted that Donald Trump had secret bank accounts in China, that Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka, received preferential treatment in getting dozens of trademarks approved in China. I can go on how Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka, and Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, made $600 million in the White House and $2 billion from the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund after the fact. But there's nothing that's leaked to the press. There was a superseding indictment. The superseding indictment spells out what specifically took place. And the information in the superseding indictment comes from your employee. Employee number 4, Yusel Taveras, the head of IT, who's cooperating with special counsel Jack Smith as soon as he fired the lawyer who you were trying to hire for him so that he wouldn't tell special counsel Jack Smith the truth. That is what's going on here. And by the way, there are like dozens of other posts like this by Donald Trump, but it's all me, whiny, whiny, whiny. And here's the President Biden post talking about Bidenomics, how every American willing to work hard should be able to get a job no matter where they live, in the heartland, in small towns, in big cities, to raise their kids on a good paycheck and keep their roots where they grew up. That's the American dream. That's Bidenomics. And so I really appreciate your advice that I show the contrast between Biden and Trump, because yes, just focusing on what Donald Trump is saying, yes, it's vile, it's dangerous. I think it's criminal to be going after people who are prosecutors like that, constant lies. But it just goes to show you that this malignant narcissism, sociopathic, how destructive it is. But compare that to President Biden taking on a host of issues that actually do things for the American people, that improve the quality of life or try to address a systemic or significant problem in the lives of American people. Now, is President Biden going to always get it right? No. Do I agree with President Biden on everything? No. But do I think he's someone who's focused on what matters to me? Yeah, I mean, do I want President Biden saying, well, the Republicans are saying mean things about Hunter, and oh my God, I'm so angry. The GOP thugs are going after my son. No, he's a professional. He's an adult. The contrast cannot be clearer. I think it's important that we see that together. Thanks for watching. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, and wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast. Have a great day and hit subscribe.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.